Enrico Pucci versus Emperor Calus. Both are slaves to their own beliefs, and both threw everything away for the sake of absolution. So who wins between both of these religion-stricken entities? In case you don't know, stands are the embodiments of your living physical energies that take the form of psychic energies standing by the user. So you can either call them an astral or a ghostly existence, or you can call them a psychic existence. It doesn't change anything. Pucci has 3 stands. He has White Snake, which lets you take a stand disc out of a person's head, Sea Moon, which completely inverts your body, and then he has Made in Heaven, which lets him accelerate time and create new universes. For scaling, we're going to put Pucci at universal to low multiversal and immeasurable speed. You can interpret Made in Heaven to simply be infinite speed, but I'm going to put him at immeasurable speed for the sake of the video. Pucci's also a pretty smart character. At multiple times in the series, Jolene and Jojo were at risk of dying to him, and at the end of the series, he killed Jojo. So, he's a pretty smart guy to be able to achieve his heaven plan with what amounts to a one-trick pony and some knives. Last topic is Gold Experience Requiem versus Pucci. I think Pucci with Made in Heaven scales above Gold Experience Requiem. There's no debate. If Jojo could take on Pucci or stronger than Pucci, he would have been able to survive the universal reset, but he has not. So we're going to take Pucci over Jojo. Moving on to Calus. Calus is pretty easy to scale. You scale Calus to the 4 Hive Gods and you downscale him from Nezareth. This puts him at multiversal because the gods have throne worlds that scale above normal Ascendant throne worlds. Normal Ascendant throne worlds have 11 universes inside of them. Because they stack, you eventually get to multiversal, which is where Calus scales. As for speed, he's in the same tier as Nezareth and the Hive Gods, like I just said, so you put him at immeasurable speed because they're not bound by the speed equation in the throne worlds. Calus is known for having 2 forms. He has his physical state, and he has his mind state. Mind state is completely and utterly intangible in return from being able to do less damage, while physical state allows him to do more damage at the risk of taking damage. He has Disciple Armor, which gives him damage reduction. He has a giant minigun that he can pull apart and turn into 2 grinder swords. As for intelligence, Calus is a unique one. He's just as intelligent, if not smarter, than the Hive Gods collectively, because he has a form of madness. But this madness makes him so unpredictable and so crazy. He will literally do anything he can to achieve the plans he creates, which are so insane that only he can achieve them. Oh, and Calus has a unique form of transmutation where if he touches you, he can completely warp you on the spot and instantly. So that's neat. Alright, so this is a really weird fight, so who do I think wins? Well, first, let's give Pucci his novel scaling to make things easier because that actually gives it a more even playing field. We'll give Pucci all 3 of his stands as well, along with his toolkit. So let's start with White Snake. White Snake does not work on Calus unless he can knock off the Disciple Helmet. If he can knock off the Disciple Helmet using throwing knives, then White Snake can take Calus's powers away from him. He is fast enough so White Snake would be able to go in and come out before Calus could even see White Snake even coming in to do so. Sea Moon. I don't see Sea Moon working on Calus. The reason being, Sea Moon has to be strong enough to get through your hack's resistance to get to you. It's not just it has to be as powerful as you. Calus is too strong and too durable in terms of hack's resistance for Sea Moon to really invert his body. He's wearing Disciple Armor as well, so we'd have to factor in the Disciple Armor keeping Sea Moon from warping Calus. That leaves Made in Heaven. Using Novel Made in Heaven, Pucci can rewrite the universe and rebirth it in an instant to get away from Calus. The only problem is that will not hurt Calus because that's only universal destruction and we're talking about a character with multiversal durability. Even if it does hurt Calus, Calus can go in Mind State and he'd be completely intangible. Pucci is just going to recreate the universe on the spot, and then Calus can go back to normal state as soon as Pucci just recreates the universe. So it would just be a back and forth of Mind State versus Pucci rewriting the universe. Also, even though Made in Heaven works on living things in the novel, it will do the same thing as Sea Moon, to where Calus just wouldn't be affected by Made in Heaven directly. Made in Heaven will have to go up to Calus and try to hurt him. So, let's talk about Calus' advantages. Let's talk about his intelligence first. He's just as intelligent, if not more intelligent than Pucci. The only problem is, Calus has a chaotic form of intelligence, so when he sees an opportunity, he'll take it, but he needs to create a plan from the very beginning in order to enact on you later. This is combat applicable because he can get used to fighting Pucci and then make a strategy, but it's when he sees an opportunity that he'll take it because he has to strategize about the opportunity so he can take it. This gives Pucci the ability to have a more collective intelligence over Calus because he's a way more put together than Calus is. Calus is insane, Pucci isn't. So this does give Pucci the ability to stay away from Calus. Although we do have to respect that Calus has more intelligence feats than Pucci. Pucci mostly has a lot of prep leading up to part 6, which is why you have to question his intelligence at some level. This leaves Calus' toolkit with Mind State, the Chainsaw Sword, and then the minigun. Pucci has a massive speed advantage on Calus. He will speed blitz Calus, make no mistake about it. He is over thousands of times faster than Calus into immeasurable speed. The only problem is, he can't hurt Calus. Pucci cannot hurt Calus whatsoever. The only thing he can do is go for the one-shot attack with the stand disc and the memory disc, but then he has to somehow knock off the helmet, which is really hard to do, because that can take attacks that's stronger than Calus directly. So we have to deal with the threshold problem first, which leaves the throwing knives in contention. We don't know if the throwing knives will break off the helmet, even though we are saying it's possible. This leaves Pucci with having to speed blitz and off-guard Calus by constantly going for his neck. Calus' neck is vulnerable, so this does give Pucci the ability to try to speed blitz and break his neck, or break the skin by a throwing knife and then crack the neck with an attack, but he's not going to be able to hurt Calus directly, so he's going to have to roll out in weak points. Calus, however, has the ability, from the start to the fight, to wherever it ends up at, to create a strategy and catch Pucci and try to kill him and ignore the speed advantage completely. So, I don't know. This is pretty close. Both sides could either mid-diff or extreme diff based on scenarios. Like, Calus would win in a fight if he has the long-term planning advantage and Pucci doesn't go for his neck yet. Meanwhile, Pucci theoretically could go for the neck and kill Calus, but that would require us to ask how many attacks to the neck would Calus take before Pucci could actually break it. That's all I have to say. This is just my opinion. Give your opinions in the comments because I'm interested to see what you guys have to say. Leave a like if you think I deserve it. Share it around if you think I deserve the share, because that would help me out most. And, that's it. Join the server if you want to have a talk with me about it, because that would be cool. Have a good one, fellas. Peace!